Hmm. So let me go over the questions from the exam, which will be the final exam. Okay. I will not go over every question, but whatever always comes in the final exam. So question number 1. Mm-hmm. No, I didn't actually punish anyone about the rounding. But in the final exam, the question will be what number you have in the 10th place? What number you have in the 100th place? What number you have in the 1000th place? So you really have to round correctly so that you can answer the question. I didn't punish you guys with your rounding error, but final exam is very sensitive. So you have to know how to round these things. Maria. Okay, so question number 1 will be in the final exam. Most likely they will give you part B. Sorry, question number 2. But let me go about both of them. I actually give you easy questions. It says put G inside F. So this is our G function. You put this inside F and then simplify. So we get F of G of X as 6 times the G function minus 1. Our G function is 2x squared minus 3. And then you distribute. So you get 12x squared minus 18 minus 1. And then most people got wrong here is they thought minus 18 minus 1 is minus 17. But in reality, what is minus 18 minus 1? Minus 19. So be careful. When you have same sign, you actually add the numbers but keeping the sign. The second part is asking first find f of 1, and then whatever you have, put it inside the G. So f of 1 is 1 cube minus 1 plus 1. So you get 1 plus 1 minus 1 cancel out. So G of f of 1 basically means it's G of 1. So you go to the G function. Square root of 11x plus 5. This x turns into 1. So we get 11 plus 5, which is 16. And it's only 4, not plus minus 4. The difference between square root of 16 and plus minus 4 is that if you don't know what number square is 16, then you have two choices. Your x could be negative 4 because negative 4 is 16, or your x could be positive 4. Positive 4 square is 16. So when you're solving for a variable, you don't know the variable, then you have plus minus option. But when you already know it's square root of 16, square root of a number is always positive. It can never be negative. So you don't have two choices. You have only one choice, plus 4, not minus 4. Jack, did you have a question? Plus minus is when you have a variable. Anytime you take the square root of a variable, you have plus minus. The composition, decomposition usually don't come. This is too easy, it doesn't come. But one thing I want to go over is that many people draw horizontal line and said, yes, this is a function, one-to-one function. But remember, I said clearly during the review, when you are looking for a one-to-one function, you have to do two tests. One is vertical line test and then horizontal line test. Why? Because vertical line test will tell you whether it's a function or not. If it's not a function, there is no way it can be one-to-one function. So it fails vertical line test. So even if it passed horizontal line test, it doesn't matter because it failed the first one. So the answer is no, not yes. And another one most people got wrong is this one. All you have to do is draw the horizontal line. If you do that, you see your horizontal line crosses the graph twice. So all these graphs, they're one graph, not two different graphs. So all you have to do is draw your horizontal line and draw your vertical lines. Vertical line will tell you whether it's a function or not, and horizontal line will tell you whether it's a one-to-one function or not. But good news, in the final exam, they don't ask this type of question. Oh, he got 96. Okay, so these will be in the exam. Either the exponential or the log. One of them will be in the exam. And they may ask you to graph it, or they'll give you the graph, and then you have to identify like the question like this. Either graph will be given, find the equation, or equation will be given, you have to graph it. So to graph, I said first draw the original graph. Why? Because if you compare the original graph with the transformation, then you can see what's going on. So for exponential graph, it always goes to the y value 1, and it's increasing quickly. This is the original 4 to the x. Now, what we do is we move this y-intercept, and then we look for the new position for that y-intercept. But before we do that, first let's find the horizontal asymptote. For exponential graph, horizontal asymptote comes from the up-down transformation. So it's -2, but then it's what -2, x or y? Since it's a horizontal, so it should be y equals -2. So you go to y equals -2, and then draw your wall. Asymptote is like a wall that the graph cannot cross. So once you create your wall, now you can use transformation. These points, first, always you have to do reflection. If you have many types of transformation, reflection should be always the first one. And when you have a number in front of the function, it's a reflection about the x-axis. So if you have a point 1 unit above the x-axis, its reflection should be where? 1 unit below the x-axis. That's how reflection works. Whatever unit you have above, it goes that many units below of the x-axis. So first step, you reflect your y-intercept. And that y-intercept, you are going to move 3 right and 2 down. So 1 right, 2 right, 3 right, 1 down, 2 down here. So that the original y-intercept first reflects, and then it shifts left, right, up, down. And now you're going to draw a graph that is a reflected version of the original graph. So if the original graph is going up, its reflection must go down. This is the reflection about the x-axis. So you're going to draw the graph here that is going down. And this is what I told you. Show me your work for the y-intercept. From the original one, where did you land after the transformation? For log graph, Log and exponential, they're inverse of one another. So if exponential has y-intercept 1, log has to have x-intercept 1. An exponential graph is increasing quickly. The log graph is increasing very slowly because they are reverse of one another, the opposite. Now, this x-intercept you have to move around. So they are saying pass to the reflection. Oh, before that, the vertical asymptote. Vertical asymptote means it's a vertical line. So we have to have x equals something. X equals what? We get the x equals from the inside. You set the inside equals to 0 and you solve for x. That's your vertical asymptote. Means this is the vertical wall that your graph cannot cross. So this is 1, this is 2. You draw your wall so that you don't cross it. And then you start doing reflection. Now we still have a negative in front of the function. So we still have our x-axis as our mirror. So if you reflect x equals 1, it doesn't go anywhere because it's not above the x-axis, it's on the x-axis. So instead of it moving anywhere, it stays same on the same position. So instead, what it does is whatever portion is above the x-axis, it will go below, and whatever is below, it will go above. So the reflection will be something like this. Now this reflection, you're going to move 2 left and 3 down. So you take this, go 1 down, 2 down, 3 down, 1 left, 2 left here. Or the other way around. You go 2 left and 1, 2, 3 down. The left, right, up, down direction doesn't matter, like the order doesn't matter. What matters is the reflection. You always have to reflect fast and then left, right, up, down. Sophie, I didn't give you your exam, right? So this is our new position. So you draw your graph in this new position. You draw the reflected version. So that this side is going down and this side is going up. So original is the blue one and the green one is the reflection one. The blue one is log of x without any transformation. The next question will come in the final exam is expanding. So you really have to know how to expand. Before you expand, you see in the numerator, we have many things together. We have power and we have radical. So first step is split your radical. You have x cubed and y separately. Denominator doesn't have any radical, so you don't have to worry about that. And then you're going to rewrite the radical using power. So x to the square root of x cubed. Remember the exponent rules. If you have nth root of x to the m, power is more powerful. So it goes on the numerator and the radical goes on the denominator and you keep your base. Applying these rules, 3 is the power. So 3 should be on the numerator. And we have square root means 2 on the denominator. And square root of y is 1/2. And our denominator stays same, 3z squared w. So we have one element. We have 1 element, 2 element, 3 element, 4 element, 5 elements. So we have 5 different things. That means we are going to have 5 different logs. And based on their position, either they will be positive or negative. So we have numerator log x to the 3/2 plus log y to the 1/2. Everything on the numerator will get positive sign, and everything on the denominator will get negative sign. The denominator get negative log of 3, negative log of z squared, and negative log of w. Not one thing. Everything on the denominator gets negative because they all are on the denominator. Now the last thing we're going to do is log doesn't like power. Log hates power. So every power you see, you have to bring it down as a coefficient in the front. So we get 3/2 log of x, 1/2 log of y. 3 doesn't have any power, so we keep it. Z has a power, so we bring it down. W doesn't have any power, so we keep it. So this is our final version of the expanded log. In the next one, you're doing the opposite. The expanded version is given. You are going to write a big log with numerator and denominator. Now, depending on the sign you put, if you have plus sign in the front, they go on the numerator. If you have minus sign in the front, they go on the denominator. But before that, you cannot have any coefficient. So this coefficient will go here as a 5th power. This coefficient will go here as a 2 power. This coefficient here will go here as a 4 power. And then you have 1/3. It will go here as a power. So basically we have log x to the 5 minus log y squared minus log z to the 4 and then plus log cube root of w. This is what we have. Now this sign is plus, so it will go on the top. This sign is minus, that means it will go on the bottom. This sign is minus, so this is supposed to go on the bottom. This sign is plus, so this will go on the top. So basically you're canceling all the logs. You're not using all the logs, you're using only one log. That's why this is called single log. Single means one. So you're putting 4 logs into one log and combining all the arguments together. Any questions so far? No question. The next final exam is the circle. You'll definitely see a circle in the final exam. In the circle, I ask you all of them, but in your exam, they'll ask you 1 or 2 of them, like find center and radius, or find domain and range, like them. So I said first convert into standard form. Standard form means x plus or minus something square, and then always plus y plus or minus something square. It should be minus. And then the right side should be r squared. Whatever element we have, we call it h, and whatever element we have here, we call it k. So for center, it's the x value and the y value, and the radius is square root of r squared, which is this. So in order to get the completed square, we are going to put the x's together, y's together, and bring the number to the other side. So we get x squared plus 2x plus y squared minus 8y, and then we have 32. Now we can complete the square easily. This should be plus something plus something. This should be the scenario. X will be here, Y will be here. Now what goes next to the X is here to find. Whatever coefficient you have in front of X, you divide that by 2, including the sign. So plus 2 divided by 2 is plus 1. That goes inside. And then you subtract that 1 square. Here we have negative 8 for Y. You divide it by 2, you get negative 4. And then you always subtract negative 4 square. So half quantity goes inside, but the half of the square goes outside. Why do it here? Because this thing we are going to add on the other side. We have our R square here. After adding all of these, we're supposed to get 49. And on the left side, we get x plus 1 square, and then y minus 4 square. So that means our center is the opposite sign from the inside. We have plus 1, so it should be minus 1. And then we have minus 4, so it should be plus 4. And our radius is square root of 49, which is 7. So most of the time, they ask for center and radius in the final exam. Most of the time. And then for domain and range, they ask sometimes. Finding domain is easy. You need the x value. X value minus the radius, x value plus the radius. So it's like h plus minus r. For range, it's the y value. So k plus minus r. Our k is 4. So 4 minus 7 and 4 plus 7. Domain and range, they always get bracket because our circle is a continuous function. It doesn't have any hole in it. And if it don't have any hole, it's always bracket. So we get negative 8 and 6, and we get negative 3 and 11. And then to draw, you start from negative 1, 4. And then you go 7 unit up, 7 unit left, 7 unit right, 7 unit down, and then you draw your circle. Any questions so far? The next final exam question is the inverse. You'll definitely have one inverse. So for inverse, our first step is cancel out the f of x and write this as y. So y equals 9 minus 5x divided by 8. Next thing we do is swapping x and y. So we got x here and y here. So x equals 9 minus 5y divided by 8. So most people actually are able to do these two steps. And then many people got it wrong. What they did, they multiplied both sides by 8, which is great. So they got 8x equals 9 minus 5y. And then they forgot that they are supposed to solving for y, not solving for x. So they divided by 8 again and say, oh, this is our inverse. I was like, really? What are you thinking, guys? You swap x and y because your goal is to get the y alone. We always solve for y. We actually don't solve for x. So once you swap and once you multiply by 8, your goal is to get this thing alone. So you subtract 9 from both sides. So you get negative 5y equals 8x minus 9. And then most people got this part wrong. Next part. They forgot that they are dividing by negative 5. Instead, they did division by the positive 5, which is wrong. So you have to divide by negative 5 because your goal is to cancel the negative 5, not positive 5. So whatever you have here, that's your real inverse. So it's 8x minus 9 over negative 5. If you want, you can rewrite this by distributing the negative. So you get negative 8x, positive 9 over positive 5. These two are same. Since we don't like to have a negative extra, so you can always distribute that negative on the numerator. So in the final exam, usually this is a multiple choice question. So if you don't see extra negative, that means they distributed negative. So look for this answer. The next final exam question is this one. Alana. The next one is bacteria life. So we're going to have two questions, two word problems. One is population, either human population or bacteria population or some type of population, and then one money problem. So in this population, they are saying that the bacteria is growing with this equation, and what time the bacteria population will be equal to 375. So P always means population here. So when the population will be 375, means here 375 equals 3 times 5 to the T. And surprisingly, most of you got this wrong. Why? Because I seen many variation. Some people multiply 3 times 5. Jack, no fun. What are you doing in the calculator? Because first you have to click the number and then log. Some calculator requires number first and then the log. And then some calculators do log and the number. Guys, your final exam is next week. Only 4 or 5 days from today. Okay? So concentrate on this. You can have your discussion after class. Not now. So most people multiply 3 times 5. You cannot multiply 3 times 5 because of the PEMDAS. PEMDAS says 2 parentheses and then exponent. Multiplication comes way later than parentheses and exponent. So how can you think you can multiply 3 and 5 when 3 to 5 is already inside the parentheses, plus it has its own exponent. So there is no way you can do multiplication. So the goal is to get rid of these 3 because you cannot multiply. So you divide by 3 so that you'll not see the 3 in the font. And when you divide 375 by 3, 3 goes to 3 once, 3 goes to 7 twice, you get 6. So you get 15. 3 goes to 15 5 times. So this side is 125 equals 5 to the T. And then a few of you use log, like Amar, and then got stuck. If you use log, then you have log of 125 and log of the other thing. You can use log, but if you get stuck there, what's the point of using log? So I will show you both methods. Without using log, it's easier. I gave you 125 because 125 reminds you of which number? When you see 125, what number comes in your mind? Definitely 5. That means see if you can divide 5 by 125. you can divide, you get 25. So 5 times 25 is 125. But here we want something that has a base 5 with some number. So can you divide 25 by 5? You get 5 and 5. So 125 is 5 3 times. Why are you looking for 5? Because here our base is 5. So in order to cancel the base, we want the other side to have the same base. So you rewrite this as a 5 cube and you have 5t. And now you have the same base. So we cancel and we get t equals 3. That should be the easiest method. But if you did not see, instead you use log, well, no problem. You can use log 125 equals log of 5t, and then t comes down, so you get t equals log of 5. And then to get the t alone, you divide both sides by log of 5. And then you get stuck, right? Since this is a non-calculator portion, what can you do? So you have to use your brain. If I want to cancel log of 5 from the denominator, we want to have log of 5 here. And we can have log of 5 with the power. So you have to rewrite to 125. So you write 5 to the power 3. Why we are rewriting? Because log hates power. Anytime it sees power, it brings it down as a coefficient. So you get 3 log of 5 on the top. And the denominator, you have log of 5. And now you can cancel. On log 125 over log 5, you cannot cancel anything because they are completely different things. So you have to rewrite one of them so that you can cancel the other one. So you get 3 equals 2. So in the final exam, you may see this question in the non-calculator part, or you may see this in the calculator part. If it's in the calculator part, use log, no problem, because you can use calculator to simplify. But if it's in the non-calculator part, remember, it's doable by hand. So don't try to use log. Instead, rewrite the base. So that was another finalization question. Next finalization question is a tangent line. The love giving tangent line question. So in tangent line, if you can remember 2 things, you don't need to show any work. And if you don't remember these 2 things, then you have to show work. You're allowed, just tell me what is the shortcut, like what is M and what is B. So here you M for tangent line only, okay? This is not true for any other things. For tangent line only, your M would be negative x over y, and your y-intercept B will be radius square over y. If you can remember this, you don't need any math, okay? So if you use shortcut, negative, your x value is -3, your y value is -4. So negative, negative cancel out. Your slope is -3 over 4. And your y-intercept is r square. What is your r square in this equation? 25, this one. So you do 25 divided by your y value. And here we have nothing to simplify. So equation is y equals mx plus b. Our m is -3 over 4. And our v is -25 over 4. That's all you have to do. So remember these 2 shortcuts. Remember, in the final exam, there is no partial credit. So I gave you partial credit if you at least did y minus y1 slope x minus x1. Any tangent line of a circle. When you go to pre-calc, you'll see tangent line again, but that time you cannot use this method. This is only for a circle. So try to remember this. Usually in the final exam, question 13 doesn't come. Usually. And then, oh, but one thing I want to tell you, log 1 is not 1 or 10 or 100. Log 1 is 0. Why? Because this is our x equals 1. So if you look at the log graph, when your x is 1, what is your y value? 0. So log of 1 is 0. And also log 0 doesn't exist, and log of negative number doesn't exist. That's why for any log equation, you have to check your work to see if you have a 0 log or if you have a negative log. If you have any of these two, the answer is doesn't exist. Okay, so these are the more realistic final exam questions. You may see a graph and then they'll ask you what's the equation, or they'll give you the equation and you have to pick a graph, or they'll give you the equation and you have to draw the graph. One of these three scenarios. You'll definitely have one graph, either from log or from exponential. Definitely have one of them. So the first one, what type of graph is the first one, log or exponential? Log. So you have to compare the original log graph. This is the original log graph, log of x. The base doesn't matter. The log of x is this one. Now, how you're moving the original graph to the transform graph? Which direction you want? Go which direction? Really? Go left. How many units? 2 units. So going left, 2 units. We're supposed to have -2, but remember, left, right doesn't follow. Do you remember my story? When someone is inside your heart, they're already inside your heart, so they don't listen. If you tell it to go left, they'll go right. And if you tell it to go right, they'll go left. So for left, right, it's opposite. So we are going left from the original graph, but when you write it down, we write +2 instead of -2. Left should be minus, but no. Here, left is plus, and it's inside the heart, means inside the parentheses. So the option is this one. ln and log, they are same. I mean, I shouldn't say same. ln and log, they have the same property, the same picture. ln means natural log, and log means just normal log. So what type of graph is B? Log or exponential? That means you have to compare this with the original exponential graph. If you look at the original graph and the transform graph, how you're moving? Down, how many units? 2 units. 1, 2. So down means you have your function and then a single number. So here we only see e. So we have e to the x, the function, and then the going down means -2. So option is B. And this is D. So in the final exam, you don't have to show any work, but you have to draw the original graph to tell me that you compared the original graph with the transform graph to find out the number. Okay. The next final exam questions are these two. You'll have at least one log and exponential. You may have both, or you may have one of them, but definitely one of them, either log or exponential. For log, we have 2 logs on one side. Anytime you have more than 1 log, you have to combine them into a single log. So how do you combine 2 log into 1 log? What do you do? Do you multiply? So we have, this is our first argument, and these are second argument. You have to multiply these two arguments. X plus 7 times x plus 5. And then we actually don't know how to solve logarithmic equation. So we always have to convert log into exponential. And do you remember how to convert log into exponential? So 2 gets the power 3. And then we set it equals to what? We set it equals to these arguments. X plus 7, x plus 5. Because we don't know how to solve log. And then we do distribution here. So we get x squared plus 7x plus 5x plus 35. And we have 2 cubed, which is 8. We have like terms here, and we subtract 8. So we get x squared plus 12x. How much is 35 minus 8? 27. Positive or negative? Positive, because 35 is positive. Justin. Shahida. None factor. Or, yeah. So 2 numbers multiplied to 27 and combined to 12 is 9 and 3. 9 times 3 is 27, 9 plus 3 is 12. And then we set each of them equals to 0 to solve for x. So we get x equals -9 and x equals -3. And then I feel sorry for many of you, because once you got the answer, you boxed both answers and said, okay, this is our final answer. See, you always have to check logarithmic equation. Why? Because we have a problem. Elena, don't take the picture yet because this is wrong. You must check. So and when you check, you have to check with the original log. Log has a problem, so you need the log. The original log is log 2 of x plus 7, and then log 2 of x plus 5. You're going to substitute here to see if the argument, any of the argument is negative or 0. So first, let's check -9. We get log -9 plus 7, and then log -9 plus 5. What is -9 plus 7? That means we didn't have to care about the rest. When you see log with a negative, it's automatically unacceptable. You cannot accept -9 as the answer. And then you check the 3. We get log -3 plus 7, and then log -3 plus 5. What is -3 plus 7 and -3 plus 5? Now both of them are positive, so we accept this. So this is our final answer. Only x equals -3. Okay. For exponential, I give you an easy question. So, anytime you have exponential, your goal is to have the same base. Now we have base 9 and we have base 81. They're 2 different bases. But can you rewrite the bigger base using the smaller base? We can. So we rewrite. You don't have to use 3 because you can use 9. Yes, you can use 3, but you don't have to, because 81 is all can be rewritten using 9. Sometimes they both have to be rewritten. So that time you need 3. For example, if I give you, instead of 9, if I give you, let's say 27, I cannot rewrite 81 using 27. So you have to rewrite 81 and 27, both of them using 3. But here, 9 is fine. So you rewrite, and you have your original x minus 4 here, and 3x plus 5 here. 2 powers together, you have to multiply. So you get 9 2x minus 8 and 9 to the 3x plus 5. We wanted to have the same denominator because what? What can you do? Cancel. Kill them. So you're left with 2x minus 8 equals 3x plus 5. Come on. And then solving is easy. You subtract 2x because this is smaller. And then you subtract 5 from here. So you get minus 8 minus 5, which is minus 13. And 3x minus 2x is 1x. And you're done. And we don't have to check our work because it is exponential. Exponential doesn't need checking, but log does. But the exponential doesn't have any problem. If you don't have any problem, you don't need to check your answer. But if you do have a problem, then you have to check your problem. So exponential logarithmic graph has a problem. It cannot take negative or 0. Same thing, radical has a problem. It cannot take negative. So when you solve radical equation, you must check. When you solve logarithmic equation, you must check. So these are the finalism questions. Now from here, usually they ask for vertex only. Usually. But sometimes they ask for everything. And this is a non-calculator. This is a non-multiple choice part. So to find vertex, what's the formula for the vertex? Negative b over 2a. So we have, this is a and this is b. So negative 18 over 2 times negative 3. So you get negative 18 divided by negative 6. The negative cancel out. 6 goes to 18 how many times? 3 times. So x value of the vertex is 3, but we also need the y value. And then many of you forgot that the y value is when you substitute the x value. So you put just 0 as y value, which is wrong. To get the y value, you need to substitute the x with the x value. So we have negative 3x squared plus 18x. And all these x is the x value you just found. So here we get negative 3 times 9. And 18 times 9 is 54. You can do the math here. And also it's 54. So you get negative 27, positive 54. In other words, you're subtracting 27 from 54. So you have 14 here and 4 here. So it's 2, 7, not 17, not 37. It's 27. And also it's positive 27 because your bigger number is positive. So I see many versions, negative 27, 17, 37, 0. I seen all these y values. All of them are wrong. The correct answer is positive 27. Axis of symmetry comes from the x value of the vertex. It's x equals 3. We don't need any math. It's just the x value equals to x. Now for the x-intercept, we don't want to see the y. So we set the y to be 0. So y is 0, and then we have negative 3x squared plus 18x. And remember, I said, anytime you have two terms, you have only two choices to solve. Either you can take out a GCF, means factoring, or it may be difference of perfect squares. So one of these two scenarios definitely you have. So which scenario we have here? Can you pull out a GCF, or we have difference of perfect squares? GCF. So what do you see common in both of them? Negative 3 for the number and for the variable x. So if factor out negative 3x, then what is left? X minus 6. So these are the two factors you have, and then you set each factor equals to 0. So negative 3 times x 0 means x has to be 0. X minus 6 0, you add 6 to both sides, so x is 6. Now they ask for point format. So this is 0 0 and this is 6 0. So you have 0 0, one x-intercept, 6 0 as another x-intercept. To find the y-intercept, we don't want to see the x. So we set all the x to be 0. So we have negative 3 0, positive 18 0. In other words, we have minus 0 plus 0, which is 0. So the point we get from here is 0 0. And then I seen what many people did was they saw y-intercept is 0. So they erased this one. It doesn't make sense, guys. You have x-intercept 0 and also y-intercept 0. So we have two numbers, same number twice. So just because you see this 0 0 in the y-intercept, it doesn't mean you don't have the x-intercept there. So you have x-intercept 0, also the y-intercept 0. They both are two types of intercepts. So you have to keep both of them. Do not erase them. And then finally the graph. We have one x-intercept and y-intercept, both of them are 0 0. The other one is 6 0. And in the middle, we have 3 27. So you draw an upside down parabola. So what do we have here? Maximum or minimum? Maximum. So for this question, you write maximum. Any question? Now come another finalizing question, which you may see twice. Once in the non-calculator part, once in the calculator part. You may see it twice. So Jack, even though you hate it, but you should learn how to do it. This is actually not bad. Okay. It looks bad, but it's not bad. Question? Huh? So this is the height of something. So it's height. Height is the y value. And they give you height of something. It doesn't matter what the height is for what, it doesn't matter. When you say height, it's the y value. Now they are saying in the first one, find the maximum height of the ball. Since height means the y value, and you're looking for the maximum y, it means you're looking for the y value of the vertex. Because vertex gives you the maximum number, the maximum point. So this is not the x value of the vertex, it's the y value of the vertex. And anytime you see the word maximum, minimum for a quadratic, remember, it's a vertex. So first, you need to find the x value before you find the y value. Our x value is negative b over 2a. So it's negative 32 over 2 times negative 16. So we have negative 32 divided by negative 32. So 1. But we cannot stop here because they're not looking for the time. This is time. 1 second. They are looking for what is the maximum height. So the height means the y value is when you substitute this into the equation. So negative 16 times 1 square. And then 32 times 1 plus 48. So negative 16, positive 32 plus 48. The easier way to do this is 32 minus 16 is 16. And you're adding 48 with 16. 64. And this is height, so it should be feet. 64 feet. So they will ask you either for maximum, minimum, x value or the y value of the vertex, or they will ask for y value by giving you some other y value. For example, here, they're asking when the y value, when the ball will hit the ground. So what information they gave us here? The height is 0. Anytime you hit the ground, there is no height. So the height you see here, this height is 0. And you have the rest, negative 16 t squared plus 32t plus 48. Now, since your y is 0, that means you're solving for t. So when you solve for t, your goal is to look for factoring. Is it factorable or not? So you want to see, since we have a negative 16 in front of t squared, so can you divide everything by negative 16? If it's in the non-calculator portion, it will be divisible by something. But if it's in the calculator portion, it may not be divisible by the coefficient. So you're going to use the quadratic formula. But here it's divisible. All of them are divisible by 16. So you get t squared. What is 32 divided by negative 16? Negative 2t. And what is 48 divided by negative 16? Negative 3. So see, all of them are divisible. And now it becomes simple quadratic equation. So we can factor. Two numbers multiply to negative 3 combined to positive negative 2. Negative 3 and plus 1. So you get t minus t equals 0 and t plus 1 equals 0. They give you t equals 3 and t equals negative 1. And then I feel sorry for a couple of you. You saw two answers, you boxed it and said, these are my answers. But can you accept both answers? Which one you cannot accept? Why not? Because t means time. Can you have a negative time in your life? Time can't be negative. So unfortunately, we don't get two solutions. We have only one solution. So that ends our first part. Now, second part, start with the same question. Let me pull out the second part. I have it here. See, same question, the calculator part. So you have to see what is given here. This time they are saying we had the same scenario, blah, 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 blah. And you want to know at what time at what time you'll have a height of 160. Height of 160. So what information is given here? It's equals to 160 because this is the height. So height is 160, means this height is 160. So 160 is negative 16t squared plus 100t plus 190. So most of you actually got this part correct. That's why I gave you 1 point if you have this part correct. But remember, final exam doesn't have any partial credit. So even though you have this part correct, you still get 0 if the final answer is not 0. Sorry, if the final answer is not correct. So you have 160 equals that, and you do not subtract 190. Your goal is to bring everything to one side so that you can use quadratic formula if it's not factorable. So you subtract 160, but many of you did subtracted 190, which was wrong. So 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 110t plus 30. Now, yeah, you can divide by 2, but it doesn't matter because you're going to use the calculator anyway. So if you want, you can divide by 2. So you get negative 8t squared. What is half of 110? 55. And then 30 is 15. So this is not factorable. So you go to the quadratic formula. Negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac, whole thing divided by 2a. So what is our a here? Negative 8. What is our b here? And our c? 15. So we get negative 55 plus minus 55 squared, 4 times negative 8 times 15, whole thing divided by 2 times negative 8. So negative 55 plus this divided by negative 16, or negative 55 minus this with negative 16. So what do you get inside? 35 or 5? So when you do the addition on the top, what do you get? Denominator is negative 16, but what goes on the numerator? Do it together so that it doesn't have any rounding at all. My mouth is so dry. It's trying. Jack, you have a calculator, do it. It doesn't work. The battery died. What do you get on the top? Negative 55 plus square root of 35 or 5. 4.2. And how about the other one? Negative 55 divided by 35, square root of 35 or 5. Negative what? 114. How do you write 114? 114.2. So this answer is negative because plus over minus, and this answer should be positive. Which one you accept? The positive, both of them, or one of them? Positive. 7.14. So the purpose of the calculator is this part. What do you get from the division and multiplication? I said the purpose of using calculator is the final part. So you still have to show all the details and then use a calculator for the final part. Here B is for the other one. Maximum height or the height is 0. And this one is asking when the height is 160. So 2 questions in the final exam. Then the distance, they give sometimes, not always, sometimes. So to remember the distance formula, it's x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square, and then you take the square root. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So we get x2 so we have 2 minus 1 square plus negative 4 minus 3 square. And again, you have to keep PEMDAS in your head. Parentheses exponent. In here, exponent means radical. So you cannot do multiplication, we cannot do anything. You have to do the inside first. So you get 1 square plus negative 7 square. So you get 1 plus 49. It's not 1 minus 49, it's 1 plus 49. You get 50. And I told you to simplify the radical. So it's 25 and 2. You get square root of, because in the final examples, you have the multiple choice. So it will be, even though it's in the calculator part, but it will be in radical form. So you have to know how to simplify the radical. So square root of 25 and square root of 2, so 5 square root of 2. If the multiple choice is decimal, you just put this in the calculator and get the decimal answer. But if you don't see decimal in a multiple choice, that means reduce your radical. The next finalization question, which always comes, is the next one. Rewrite using change of base, and then find out how much is it. So if you have log argument A and base B, first you do up, and then you divide by bottom. Remember, B represents bottom. So whatever you have on the base, it should be on the denominator. So this is log of the argument. Argument is on the top, divided by log of the base. The B means bottom, base. Okay. So in here, we have log of 164 on the top and log of 7 on the bottom. And then you go to your calculator and punch log of 164 divided by log of 7, and make sure you put parentheses around both. 2.6 to 1. And it says round to the 1,000. Oh, I noticed one thing. You guys don't know your places. After the decimal, you never get ones. After the decimal, you start with tenths. So this is tenths. The next one is hundredth. This one. Then you have 1,000. So before decimal, you get ones, tenths, 100,000. But after decimal, there is no one places. Decimal, it's the one. And it starts with 10th, 100,000. It is round to the 1,000, means the third place here. So you have to have 3 places after the decimal. So remember, I didn't punish you guys for your decimal error, but in the final exam, they will ask you, what number you have in the 1,000th place, or what number you have in the 100th place. They're going to ask you for specific position, not for the entire solution. Any questions so far? Now comes more finalizing question. So in your money investment, there are 4 unknown. One is the final amount, one is the principal amount, and then if you're doing compounding not continuously, then it's 1 plus r over n to the power nt. So this is 1 unknown, 2 unknown, 3 unknown, 4 unknown. So based on 4 unknown, they will give you 1 question or 2 questions. They'll ask for one of these unknown. Sometimes they ask for the final amount. Sometimes they ask for the principal amount. Sometimes they ask for the rate, that's interest rate. Sometimes they ask for the time. So you have to remember all 4 scenarios. How do you solve all 4 scenarios? So here they are given the initial amount, which is P. They gave you the time T. They gave you the interest rate R. So from the 4 unknown, they gave you 3 of them. That means the missing one is the final amount. They're asking for final amount. So you place everything. Our initial amount is 2796. 1 plus for interest rate, you have to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So I get 0.054. And you're compounding quarterly. So when you do something quarterly, how many times you do it? 4. If you forget, think about how many quarters we have in a dollar. And then you know the answer. And on the top, we have quarter times our time is 3. So surprisingly, even though you guys had this one correct, but the answer you got from the calculator was wrong. Why? Because you don't know how to use a calculator. So make sure to play with your calculator to see how to use every function. So every calculator is different, okay? The one I always show you is a computer calculator, which is completely different than your calculator. So you have to play with your calculator to find out how to use it. So if you use it correctly, the answer should be how much? What's the answer, Ronald? Give me the number. 3. You know, my brain works slowly when you tell me the entire thing. 114? 1 4. See, when you tell me number, my brain recognize that. But when you tell me the expanded version, my brain is not, yeah, like it doesn't work fast. I don't know why. So this should be the correct answer. Or if your calculator allows, put everything together and then they'll give you the answer. Play with it. Actually, most calculator does. For example, even this one, you can put everything, but you have to know how to put everything. So let me show you actually how to put everything in just a basic scientific calculator.
No, but on the phone, like I could do it easily, on the physical calculator. Oh. ChatGPT is easy.
And ChatGPT doesn't even know how to add numbers. So do not trust ChatGPT. They always give you PEMDAS wrong. They don't even know how to use PEMDAS. They don't even know how to use how to add numbers, subtract numbers, which is annoying, yeah. But they're improving it. So right now, the ChatGPT you see is much better than the ChatGPT we had a few years ago. It started from 2002, 2022, I think. Okay, so the next one is very similar, but the difference is you are compounding your interest continuously. So when you keep doing something continuously, you cannot put a number on it. That's why a formula cannot have an n. So which formula we use? A equals?
I remember that.
So it's called part PE to the power RT. People remember it's part, but it doesn't mean it's part. No, it's PE and then the power is RT. That means if your unknown is R and T and they ask you to solve for it, you need to call ln. Okay? So if you're solving for R and T, call ln. But if you're not solving for R or T, you don't need to use ln. Now let's see what they're asking for. You're investing this amount. So principal is given 3,600. And then your interest rate is 7%. So 0.07. And then they're asking for T. Since they're asking for T, so we need to invite Ellen to solve it. And they gave us final amount, 55,000. Now, I've seen a couple of you switch the position for P and A. And you have to use your brain. Like, if you're investing today, how can you get less money than your investment? Like, these investments are safe, okay? You never lose money. You lose money when you do, what type of investment you do? Gambling and then stock market. Gambling, stock market, those things, you lose money. But the bank investment is safe. You never lose money. You may not gain much money, but you never lose money. So your initial amount, your final amount has to be more than the initial amount. So 55,000 cannot be initial and 36 final. No, it's not possible. So bigger one is always the final one. Okay, anyway. So since our goal is to solve for t, that means we need to get rid of this principal. So it divide by 3,600. And then you can cancel the double zeros. So we have 55 over 36 equals e to the 0.070. And now we want to bring this down because they are on the ceiling. So we invite the ln. We cannot invite log because only ln and e, they are opposite of one another. Log and e, they are not opposite of one another. So when you invite ln, they cancel out, but you have to invite ln to both sides. So you get ln of 55 over 36 equals 0.070. So see, the ceiling suddenly comes down. Now it's on the floor. So it divide by 0.07. It's 0.05. It says round to the 100. So we're going to keep the decimal. But if it says round to the whole number, then it's a problem. If you round mathematically, then say 6. But realistically, after 6 years, do you get 55,000? No, right? 6 years plus a little bit more time. So count that as a 7 years. So if you think about realistically, it should be 7. But if you think of this mathematically, it's 6.
6 in a month.
6 in a month. But they will not have the option 6 in a month. So use your knowledge wisely. Now the next two, these are also final exam questions. See, my entire exam is a final exam. So that's why if you do better in the final exam, I will replace you this exam grade with the final exam grade. From which department? What is the last name? No.
We made like a 1030, and apparently it's supposed to be like to say like the final, me and Ronald were doing it, and it was like it's very difficult. I don't know why.
No, final exam is easier. Final exam is easy. Final exam has easier questions, but it's harder because you have to do the entire semester's work. Yeah, that's why it's harder, the hardest exam. But the questions you see, these are the easy questions. Huh? 2 hours and 2 parts. The first part will be 1 hour, 30 minutes, and the other part is 30 minutes only. Oh, I should tell you the location.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you that. Our final exam will be, so final exam. Final exam next week, Tuesday. So 12/16, right? 12/16, 8 a.m. in the morning. If you are 20 minutes late, Shahida, if you are 20 minutes late, Krish, Justin, who else is always late? Cairo, he's not here. But guys, my late people, if you're 20 minutes late, you cannot take the exam. So definitely be on time. I'll try to come earlier, like 15-20 minutes earlier, so that we can have a small review. I'll try doing that, okay? So you guys should come 30 minutes before that. So you have your 15-20 minutes together, talk about math before the class, before the exam. And if I come around 7:30, we'll have more time to study. And maybe I will give you the exam a little bit earlier, so you have more time. Okay. So definitely come early, but you cannot be late. No, I cannot do that, but if all of you are here, why not? Location. It will not be in this classroom. It will be 6th floor, room number 119. 6th floor, room 119. Yes, I will. 6th floor, which is in the med department. So it's close to med department.
Is it the same size room, or is it like big?
It's a big lecture hall, I think. But how is a big lecture hall? I mean, I have two classes at in the same room. So I assume it's a lecture hall, not a classroom. I'm teaching 2 algebra. So all of you will be together. And you're going to take the exam at 9. Yeah. So I will be in the classroom the entire time, and then some other instructor will come. Sometimes they check for Apple Watch. So don't bring your Apple Watch, okay? And then they check headphone, they check another cheating materials. Glasses, probably no. Krish. Exam starts from 8. So you have to be here by 7:30. If you be here by 7:30, I'll help you remembering your materials. And then we can start early. So it's 2 hours, okay? Part 1 is from 8 to 9:30. I'll do it at 9:30. Okay, 8 to 9:30, which is non-calculator part. And then part 2, which is calculator part, will start from 9:30 to 10. And then they will have another exam after our class. So don't assume I can give you extra time after them. I cannot, because during the final time, the classroom keeps running, okay? From one exam to another exam to another exam. So I cannot give you any time after that time, 10. So I'll start earlier if possible. So 30 questions together. In these 30 questions, part 2 has 8. How much is 30 minus 8? 22. Now in this 22, so in this 8, there are 2 free response where you get partial credit. So 2 partial credit question, and then 6 multiple choice. No partial credit.
Multiple choice calculator?
Huh?
Oh, shit.
Also, in the 22 first part, non-calculator, 4 questions, you'll get partial credit. And what is 22 minus 4? 18. 18 multiple choice. So 18 plus 6, 22 questions. 22 questions, you get either full credit or no credit.
What's the thing that you put, like, that's so worthy?
Of course, you have to show correct work. If your work is correct and you pick the correct multiple choice, then you get full credit. But if your work is wrong, but magically you pick the correct choice, it's 0. I will.
You got it. Come on.
There's no extra credit. Actually, they have extra credit, 5 points extra credit here. For non-multiple choice, if you make one small mistake, you still get 2 points for one small mistake. But for multiple choice, no partial credit. Your work has to be correct, multiple choice has to be correct. That's why show me correct work. In this correct work, if you have a tiny mistake, I'll disregard that. But if you pick the correct choice and then you have almost correct work, almost correct, okay? So let's say you forgot your plus sign, or let's say you forgot a square, or you forget a coefficient, I'll disregard that because I see you know your materials. So the purpose behind showing work is to see, do you know your materials or not? Within 2 days.
Right, because you have to schedule.
Yeah. So within 2 days, I'm gonna post the grade. Shahid, a question? We department told us not to do that.
So they have to.
9:30. So even if you are finished early the first part, you still have to keep reviewing until 9:30. Okay, the last 2 questions. And then the interesting last question. My name. How come you guys don't know my name yet after spending how many weeks?
He's got the wrong English.
So yeah, my name. So I actually got the idea from Robert. Yeah. Robert something, I forgot his last name. The tutor. He said, you know what, if you want to test your students, ask them for your name. And then you'll see who cares about you. And I was like, that is so true. Like, if you know my name, I can tell you care about me. And if you don't know my name, why do you expect me to care about you when you don't care about me? Like, see? So don't expect sympathy from me if you don't know my name correctly. That's the reality. If you care about me, I care about you, right? The caring or the love or the feelings works 2 ways, not 1 way. 1 way works only for one-sided love, which is romantic love. I don't have any romantic love for you guys. Yeah. So know me, so I'll know you. So my correct spelling is S-H-A, which is Sha, H-E, which is Hey, and then R-A, which is Ra. So Sha, Hey, Ra. And then it's Jan and Na. Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Yeah, you did the same thing in the last exam. Okay, now the last 2 exams, last 2 questions. Huh? My birthday, 10/8/91. Huh? Social Security? That's too private. Yeah, that's too private, sorry. How about what? Okay, so, what's wrong? So the credit card information, ask my bank. Actually, I did that sometimes once. I wanted to send money to someone. I know his birthday and I know his social security, but I don't know his account number. So I went to the bank. I said, well, I have a cousin whom I want to give some money as his wedding gift or something. So can you please deposit this money to his account? And they was like, he's your cousin. I was like, yeah, he's my cousin. I was like, I don't know his account number, but please deposit that. And then, you know what I did? I did something really cool thing. I had a spyglass, which records thing. Okay. So before I went to the bank, I turned this on and then I went to the bank and then I told the banker like, well, please deposit money to his account. And then they were writing his account number on the check or on the thingy, the deposit. I was recording that. It was so cool. Because they wouldn't give me the account number. Even though I know every information, but they wouldn't give me the account number. Huh?
You're recording this. You stop the recording first. Yes, you could. You should have posted the video on TikTok.
It is long time ago, like more than 10 years ago. Okay. No, but I don't have that anymore. Like it was 10 years ago, I think. But I had crazy ideas. Why I'm telling you this? Why I started? Oh, social security number. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you know someone's birthday and social security, you can actually know the bank information by going to the bank. It's easy. But you shouldn't do that for a negative reason. You can do it easy. You can use that for positive reason, but for not negative reason. Okay. The entire social security number. Like they need the entire number to deposit the money. So, but they wouldn't tell you because they don't trust you. So, huh? What did you say, Eliza? It's a good idea. Like if you want to help someone, but they wouldn't take your help, do it this way. Yeah. Okay, so on the first example, we have power to solve. So we need to bring it down. So whom do we invite? Log or ln. So we apply, let's say ln to both sides. So the power comes down. We get x minus 4 ln of 5 divided by ln of 396. Since our goal is to solve for x, so we need to divide both sides by ln of 5. So they cancel out. And then you add 4 to both sides. So if you go to calculator, make sure to close your parentheses for both numerator and denominator, and then add 4. How much? And it says round to the 100th. So this is the 100th position. So it's 7.72. For the next one, what I taught in class is that we have an invisible e here. So convert this log into exponential. And I showed you this method so that you don't make the mistake you made in your exam. What many people did in the exam was they know they have to apply e to both sides, and they didn't know, do you multiply e with the 6 or do you raise it to the power? You had no idea what to do in the exam. That's why, remember, just convert this into exponential. We have invisible e, so e gets the power 6, and you set it equals to the arguments. If you convert, then you will not make the mistake by multiplying e and 6. E is a number, okay? So calculator will multiply it for you. If you don't tell the calculator, It's the power, not multiplication. So you divide by 8. You punch this in the calculator. And the answer is 50 point what? 43. So I gave you most of the final exam questions today. And then I went over few questions in our last class with you guys, and then a few questions with my second class. So you have 3, and today I'm going to do another final exam review with my, not today, sorry, tomorrow. So you have 4 review videos to watch. If you do all the questions I went over in all these 4 review videos, you'll definitely pass the final exam with at least 90. Okay? So if you fail the last exam, make sure to do well in the final exam if you want to replace your grade.
The final exam practices that we go through, is that including all the curriculum, like from the beginning?
Beginning till the end. So yeah, actually do all the questions in the exams, and I'm going to post the solutions, not now, within before Monday. So study my exam first, and then the review sheet I posted.
I need to double check because I counted this like a few times. So these are the points and it's out of 90, right?
No, it has to, it's on 90.
Right.
So I
Out
got
of 90.
61.
Right. So listen,
So
when
it's
I counted
wrong.
them, when
I could be wrong.
nah,
So yeah, check your work. I could be wrong.
it's 12 on the first page.
Mhm.
We're gonna do a ritual, so I think that's 21.
21.
That's 12.
Mhm. Recording.
That is 12.